Hey, Greco-Roman here. Welcome on back to the Cade and another episode of our one-day playthroughs of a series where, in a time when most games, especially AAA games, can take anywhere from 20 to 150 hours to get through, it's nice to be able to go back in time and revisit games that you can play in a couple hours, or even less in this case. And what we're going to do is we're going to go back to 1988 and the early days of the Sega Genesis / Mega Drive, and we're going to play Altered Beast. Now, if this title sounds familiar to you, if you're of a similar age to me, it should, because when the Genesis was issued back in the late 1980s, early 1990s, like what Nintendo did with the NES, they wanted to include not a super marquee title, but a title that would be accessible to everybody and would be something that showed off the potential of the console. And Altered Beast was that title. So what we're going to do over the course of the next 25 minutes or so is we're going to try and get through this game. Now, it is only 5 levels, and if you're not familiar with the story of Altered Beast, what it is that it is set in ancient Greece, and you are, or in this case, Rome, actually. They blend the two mythologies together. And what you are is you are a centurion, a Roman centurion, who has been brought back from the dead by Zeus to rescue his daughter Athena, the goddess of wisdom, from a demonic lord named Neph. It's not Hades, but his name is Neph, and you have to, over the course of 5 levels, defeat him and then ultimately save Athena and get through the game. So, how this game works is pretty simple. I'm going to pause here really quick. Is that there is no timer, which is nice. You see these 3 dots that are down below. Those are your life bar, essentially. And they will diminish the more damage you take. And then what you have is you have your A button is punch, B button is kick, and C is jump. Now, what we're really looking for early on in this part of the level is we're looking for this wolf here, and we missed him. Because the white wolf, the 2-headed wolf, will give us power-ups that allow us to be able to progress in terms of strength and being able to do damage. Now, the brown wolves don't do that. We want to be able to get to this one especially, and you'll see as soon as we get this spirit ball, we get a little bit buffer and our toga gets a little bit torn, and now we can do a bit more damage. And now we're even buffer, and we won't face Neph just yet because we're not super powered up yet. Ah, we missed it again. Getting the wolves, is, especially on this first level, is not usually this hard. It's not going to let us go until we drop down. Of course, we drop right into getting hit. There we go, and now we can finally turn into the werewolf, but the problem is we only have 1 guy left. So each of the 5 levels, when you get 3 spirit balls, you will turn into the super creature that you can have for that particular level. So in this one, you start out and you're a werewolf. Level 2, I believe you are a were-dragon. Level 3, you become a were-bear. Level 4, were-tiger. And level 5, you become the golden werewolf. And because this game was essentially based on an arcade port, They didn't have to do too much in order to convert it over from what it originally had been in arcades. So it's a lot of it is about pattern recognition and a lot of things that were staples in the arcade genres. And now we're able to get through this first level and move on to the second one. Now the other problem is that there are no continues in this game. So in order to beat it, you've got to be able to get through it in 3 guys across 5 levels. Now when this game came out, again in 1988, the reviews of it weren't great. In arcades, it got a 7 out of 10 and only got a 3.5 out of 5. In a couple of the publications of the day. Ah! There we go.
Power up. Power up.
And just like that, we have died. Of all the variations and all the versions of this game that came out over the years, the Genesis version is still considered by far the most popular. Game rankings still, although it's only listed as a 51% overall on game rankings, Computer and Video Games Magazine had it listed as an 87%, as did the UK Game Machines publication. But PowerPlay and Sega Power only had it about 50%. So, again, with what Sega was trying to do in showing off the capabilities of the Genesis, or the MegaDrive, again, if you were in the UK, that's what it was referred to, or outside the US. There we go, get that one. Could Sega gone with a different game to really start showing off what the Genesis was going to be able to do over its lifespan? Sure. And actually, when we started seeing titles like Sonic come out, it was they ended up replacing Altered Beast with, I believe, was Sonic the Hedgehog 2, which, if anybody who has played Sonic will tell you that's a far superior game than Altered Beast was. But that didn't come till, I believe, 4 or 5 years in to the Genesis run. Now, I will say, for a game that I have not played in a really long time, once you start getting more acclimated to the patterns of each level, it's not quite so difficult. And that is the thing that I would tell you if you're considering trying this game out. But it does, from a graphic perspective, does have a lot of carryover from the Master System, which had a very similar design spec to the Genesis in terms of its graphical presentation. But I think at the time, because this was the chance to really show off what 16-bit graphics could do versus 8-bit graphics, that's why Altered Beast really wanted to be the one that everybody got a chance to see as the initial title. Ah! I hate those little head suckers. Alright, come here, White Wolf. Get you.
Power up.
Now these little guys with the tails, who just took me out in like no time flat, we would see them later on in Golden Axe, if I recall. And there's Neff. So we're not going to be able to fight him yet. Because we've got to get the White Wolf again to be able to trigger the Were-Dragon. There we go. And of the different variations that you get in this, the Were-Dragon was by far my favorite one, and it did bother me that we could not use different creatures in different levels. Because having this electrical force field was great. Because as you see, we can just tear through everything with it. Nothing is going to penetrate this shield. And we are all, intents and purposes, invincible at this stage.
Welcome to your doom.
Now, something I don't remember is whether or not we can get extra guys in this game or not. And we couldn't. So we'll try it again. But very much in the same way that Einhander was a game from the PS1 that really tested your ability to get through a truncated set of levels. Altered Beast is no different in that respect.
Power up.
And people think that nowadays, to have challenging games, you've got to have super convoluted stuff and everything but the kitchen sink thrown into a title, and that's really not the case. You know, this game does have a fair degree of challenge to it because for how rudimentary it is by comparison to, you know, by modern standards especially. That does make it a little bit more appealing, I think. So now we shouldn't have much trouble getting through this guy. I fought him 3 times already. Oop. And it's a matter of just blasting fireballs at him. Whoop, thought I had fired that off. There we go. Alright, now let's see what we can do to get through the next one. Now this game was actually really popular in Japan when it came out in '88. It was the second highest grossing game of the month of July when it came out. But also, when there was a revisitation of the best and worst games for the Genesis a couple of years ago, Mega Magazine put it as number 10 on their 10 worst games for the system of all time. Oh, get off me. These little head suckers are really annoying. And the other part of the problem with this game, and it shows the definite limitations of it, is that the hitboxes can be so varied depending on what it is you're fighting. So like this guy, I had so much trouble with him before
Power up.
Now I can hit him for a lot more. And now we're back to being the were-dragon. And now we've got Neff again.
Welcome to your doom.
And basically what we got to do is we just got to be able to navigate through that. See, that was a lot easier. It's once he deploys all those floating eyeballs, then you're like, okay. But that we still can't get an extra guy, and we're at 175,000 points. That's one of the more frustrating things as well. So now we have ants to deal with.
Power up.
And we had to be also careful because we have these big holes in the floor. So now we've got to be able to jump. But, like that, we are dead. So I think what we'll do is we'll try it one more time. This may be a shorter episode for this week. Because we are getting a little bit further. And if you ask anybody who is old enough to remember when this game came out, what they remember most about it is not necessarily so much the gameplay, so as it is the sound effects you get at the beginning that rise from your grave, which we had way too much fun with as kids. Because of how synthesized it is, it almost sounds in a lot of ways Elmer Fudd-ish. So we would sit there and be rise from your grave. And if you're not old enough to know who Elmer Fudd was, then I can't help you. And the other line that everybody remembers is this one.
Welcome to your doom.
So we should be able to mow through him pretty easily this time. We know we're doing damage because the music is speeding up. And there we go. Ironically enough, this game is still very, very popular among competitive gamers. To the point where apparently the current world record for a speed run on this game was set in 2019 at 6 minutes and 10 seconds. Which is no mean feat.
Power up. Power up.
I don't know if I would ever be able to speed run through this game or not. Ah!
Oh!
Alright, so Neff will go away. We'll try this one more time. Listen, you little ankle biter. There we go. Although I didn't like the fact that I was getting hit so early after transforming. That wasn't fun. Okay, now there's Neff, and we'll try this one more time.
Welcome to your doom.
There we go. And while the current speed record is still, again, a little over 6 minutes, apparently the high score record on this game, especially for the Genesis, is 6,621,500 points. Although, as of 2022, the Guinness Book of World Records still does not recognize scoring records or speed records set for this game.
Power up.
Oh!
Ah, come on, get up there. Alright, I gotta be careful about that rock, because that rock is a critter. Yeah, I don't think we're gonna make it much further. So we only take one more hit.
Power up.
we power up and we die. So I think that's as good a place as any to call it. But that, everybody, is Altered Beast from 1988 for the Sega Genesis / Mega Drive. Now, let's hit the usual two questions. Is this a good game? Honestly, no. I mean, it has its perks, yes. But bearing in mind it's a 35-year-old game, and it is a straight arcade port, it does have a severe amount of limitations. The controls are pretty clunky. Like I said, the hitboxes are really hit and miss. When you think you're going to take an enemy out, you find out that you are actually leaving yourself open to get hit. Because you don't have any continues, because you can't get any additional lives that I'm aware of, you've just got to be on it from start to finish. Which, if you're looking for that sort of a challenge, is actually a good thing. But because it's 5 levels, you can beat it if you can get through it in probably maybe 90 minutes, if that. Again, if you're doing a speed run, you can do it in 6 if you're really good at it. But it's definitely a game that you can finish in a day. but also, is it one of those games that I think you're going to go back and be wanting to play
Power up.
every chance you get by comparison to modern titles? Probably not. You know, it was,
Power up.
for its time, it was a good entry-level game for people to understand what they were going to get on the Sega Genesis. But again, like I said, as soon as they had the opportunity to replace it with a better game, Sega did that when they were releasing the consoles. So we went from having Altered Beast to Sonic the Hedgehog 2, which is a far superior game. Is it a game they could make nowadays? I don't see why not. Would they make it as a side-scrolling game? I doubt it. Could you make it as a interesting 3D type of game? Sure. I could definitely see this as a title that, if you took like the From Software approach, and I only say that as somebody who is, again, if you're hopefully following through on my first-time playthrough of Dark Souls Remastered, I could see a company like From Software taking an IP like this and doing something a little different with it. Really diving into the mythology and the lore and utilizing these different creatures that you're able to transform into in a way to help get you through various levels. Would they have to expand it and make the world, make the sandbox a bit bigger? Probably, I would think so too. But at the same time, the potential would be there. Do I think it would ever be done? I doubt it. I don't think it's one of those IPs that people are clamoring to get, for one. And the amount of work that would have to go into building that sort of a version of it, I don't think most game companies nowadays would be willing to put the resources in to do. That said, however, if you're looking for a game that is a good retro title that has a bit of challenge to it and can be beaten in a relatively short amount of time once you get good at it, give it a whirl and let me know in the comments what you think. But I am playing this on the Fusion 3.64 emulator, which is a free emulator. There are various versions of this game available. It's not hard to find, so let me know what your experience with it is. But again, that's our one-day playthrough for this week. Be sure to tune in on Wednesday for WTF Wednesday, where we go back and visit games that on paper seem like a good idea and in actuality may not have been so much. And we got a dandy for you this week. I'm not going to spoil it, but I know it's going to be one that's going to be pretty polarizing by the time we're done with it, but it's a game that I'm looking forward to trying out, or revisiting, I should say. So, and also, again, be sure to follow through on our weekend playthroughs of Dark Souls Remastered. We are now 20 episodes into that. I've got a couple more that I still got to record to get that series wrapped up, but we have quite a few in the can as well, so those will be continuing on the weekends through the end of the year, and be sure to get those as well and leave your comments, and by all means let me know what you think. And if you're following along with those and if you have any hints or comments for things that I'm missing, leave me notes, let me know, because again, I'm trying to go through this with as limited a variation of what I know as I can. So, in the meantime, my name is Ronan. It has been great to spend this time with you. Be safe, be well, happy gaming, and we'll talk to you again on Wednesday for WTF Wednesday. Bye!